And I'm initiating the live. So as people start rolling in and everything to our webinar, we should be going.
All righty.
Okay, so we're getting people to start to roll in. Give me a second, Roz, while I get the whole live streams and everything.
No problem.
Set up and enabled. Okay, looks like we are live on Facebook too, and we have some people who are starting to roll in right now.
Awesome.
Let's go Facebook. Let me check the links. How are you doing today, Roz?
I'm awesome. Hi, everybody. Roll on in. It's a happy Friday to everybody. I'm great, Charles. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I was commenting. I love your, are you wearing is that a hat or have you just done your hair?
Okay, so listen, I tell you that women, and especially Black women, we change it up. And so today was a turban day. Today was you take a piece of cloth and you just kind of wrap it. And it's great when you have a bad hair day or you just want to do something different. And so today is my turban day. Wow,
kind of cool. Looks great.
And I got a little African attire going on. So, thank you,
Definitely. Hold on while I'm just checking through all the streams to make sure that we're live and functioning. But as people are rolling in.
Hi to everybody. We got Brenda on and Bridget, Daniel Matry, hi, how are you? Herbert, Nas, Shonda. I've been getting great feedback, great information, between Facebook messages, seeing the engagement. People are asking smart questions. People are asking really creative questions and asking for more information, wanting to kind of figure out how to work through this process. It's great that you're jumping on Fridays. Next Friday, and I don't know if you know this, Charles, or not, but I know I may not be here because I'm actually going to be in DC for the Congressional Black Caucus. That starts next Wednesday. And so I'll be there with a booth and I'm speaking on a panel. And so we'll work out the details. We'll let you guys know ahead of time, but I'm pretty excited about that. That's a yearly event that takes place in Washington, DC.
Could we live stream from your booth?
Yeah, we could probably live stream. Yeah, we can make that happen. Absolutely.
That'd be great. And then we could meet people that are there. If you're
we could, I mean, listen, we'll figure it out because the one thing about Congressional Black Caucus, and I will tell you this, get into this industry, I didn't realize the political power, the power of public policy and state legislators and congressional legislators who are setting the policy up, who are helping us to understand what the laws are going to say in regards to facilitating the medical marijuana programs, as well as the adult use programs. And what I realized really quickly when I first started the organization is that you have to interface with these folks. You have to start talking to them. You have to tell them what your desires are, that you want to make sure that you as a person or your business or your community doesn't get left out. And the more that you work with them, the more they will work with you. And the Congressional Black Caucus Week is all about public policy, setting legislation for communities of color. So I think it'll be really, really awesome, and we can figure out something live stream or whatever we got to do. We'll make it happen.
Great. Well, I think you wanted to switch it up a little bit, Roz, and do some call outs. So everyone who's in the class, now some of you people are coming in from Facebook Live, so you won't be able to get a call out from Roz, but who do you want to start with, Roz?
I do. So I have Brenda. Brenda's on here, Brenda Gross. Is it Gross or Gross?
Okay, I just clicked allow to talk with Brenda. So Brenda, you're going to be on. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Hey, Brenda.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Where are you located? Good. Yeah, where are you located?
I'm in Lothian, Maryland, which is about 30 minutes outside of Washington, D.C.
That's awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll be in your area next week for the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah, Congressional Black Caucus is a big thing around here.
It's a huge thing. I didn't realize how big until last year. I was like, oh my gosh. So this was my second year, so I'm excited. Last year, there was no conversation about cannabis legalization. This year, I'm a part of a group that's doing a panel there, and then we're doing a special event on Thursday and Friday. So we are trying to slowly but surely start having the conversation. You can't have an industry that's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry that we are not engaging our Black political leaders to talk about the social justice impact, workforce development, economic development. Those are all things that are critical to our community. And with the industry that's so big, we have to be involved.
So which CBC member is sponsoring your panel?
You know what, it is, I don't know which one it is. I forgot who's sponsoring it. I'm doing it in conjunction with a young lady. She's out of Miami, and she actually asked me to speak on the panel. And then what I'll do is once she gets the headliner of the panel and the time and what have you, I will make sure that we publish it on Black Cannabis Network for everyone to see.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe I'll try to attend that.
Absolutely. Tell me, what was your rationale or today getting on a call? What were some of the things that you were looking to learn and understand or to ask a question about?
The ethics of and safety of investing.
Okay. The ethics and safety of investing. Are you speaking of investing from a stock perspective or from a business perspective?
Either or
okay.
Both. I've been sort of avoiding investing in cannabis and in that industry. So I just want to know, how safe it is.
Sure.
Hey, Roz, is it okay if I jump in on this?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Charles.
Yeah, so Brenda, I'm in the background. I'm not dressed as well as Roz, so I'm not as good looking. But let me maybe give you some insights. And I don't know if you're in the class or if not, but the methodology that a lot of people are taking that we actually believe is a concept called the picks and shovels type methodology. And what a lot of what we like to invest in is, yes, the actual marijuana company itself, right? Whether it's Canopy Growth Corporation or, some of these Kronos groups, investing in them, I mean, there might be an ethical issue. It's less that, from our perspective, it's more of a valuation issue. So if you look at it right now, Canopy Growth Corporation, I forget their current number, but they've got a market cap of like $8 billion, or it's really high. And while that is, it could go bigger, the reality of Canopy Growth Corporation is that their revenues aren't anywhere near to justify their market cap. It's still a very, there's a lot of speculation. So we like this concept of the picks and shovels is because the price of a lot of these stocks, like the growth of Canopy Growth has already been factored in, right? It's like, is it really worth $8 billion? Yeah, maybe it could be in the future, but there's a possibility it can't because it's a new industry. And there could be, another, like maybe Walmart will get into cannabis, or maybe Philip Morris will, or, all these other sorts of companies. So I'm not saying, so we like this, what we call picks and shovels. And there's various examples. But one example of, if you wanted to say like maybe it's a safe investment, is Scott's Miracle-Gro. You may not be aware of this, but Scott's Miracle-Gro, they make, gardening supplies, and they do, fertilizer and all that. Scott's Miracle-Gro has made a massive move into the cannabis space. I think they spent, let me see if I can pull up a detail on that. Give me 1 second while I...
Another company that's talking about getting into the cannabis industry is Wrigley's Gum.
Oh, yeah.
There's an article I posted on the Minorities for Medical Marijuana page, I would say about last month. But if you were to Google Wrigley's Gum enters cannabis industry, you could read an article just about the fact that the Wrigley's Gum company is looking to enter the industry. And you would be surprised, there's a lot of companies, large and small, that are entering.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can see my screen right now. Can you see my screen okay, Roz?
I see it great.
Great. So a lot of people don't, and this is what people don't think of, is it's easy when you hear cannabis, I want to go invest in a dispensary. And I'm not saying that there's no opportunity on the dispensary side, but like what you said, there's a lot of risk involved. Maybe the dispensary will get shut down. Maybe they'll raid it because it might not be quasi-legal federally. Like there's all these issues. But a company like Scott's Miracle-Gro, right? They bought, literally, this is April of this year, they spent $450 million buying Sunlight Supply, which was one of the largest distributors of, gardening supplies. And if you look at this, right, whether you're growing cannabis, like whether you're legally growing or illegally growing, because that's the other big thing, is there's still a massive illegal market. All growers need soil, all of them need fertilizer, all of them need, in this case, this is a hydroponic system. So, this is, call it the technology that runs this, so they can grow them in maybe an indoor environment or without soil and, using the latest and greatest. They all need these, we call them picks and shovels, but those sorts of aspects. This is an example. One of the things, and have you been able to attend the web class that Dr. Boyce and Deshita gave?
No.
Okay, you should check that out because they actually cover a lot of this. I know there's one scheduled for tonight, so if you can make it, great. If not, no big deal. They do replay. We're broadcasting them, I think, on Tuesdays and Fridays. But so yeah, you just go to greenrush.theblackbusinessschool.com to get that. But there's another company here that we'll talk about. This is a company called Kush Bottles, and they make packaging. And what they have is they have a patent on a certain type of container that's required for regulatory, because right now when you're selling cannabis legally, you've got to have, like, childproofing is a big thing. So like every state has a regulation for childproofing. So like, depending on how you want to look at this, now this might be a little bullish, but it's like they're kind of like the Ziploc of cannabis. So every cannabis container needs the latch that they've invented. They've got a patent on it, and they've been doing fairly well on that. So what I'm saying is I'm just trying to open your mind, and, we can get deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, but there are ways to invest in the industry without taking on the regulatory or legal or other risk of investing specifically in a dispensary. And a lot of these ancillary things that they will need are going to grow to be big companies. It's kind of like the internet. If you go back into the 90s, one of the hottest internet companies was a company called Cisco. Now, what did Cisco do? Cisco didn't actually do the internet. They made routers and switches, which were kind of like the plumbing required to get the internet stuff going, right? Everyone thinks internet, that we think of like Amazon or Yahoo or, those companies, and they are internet companies. But with every business, there's this whole surrounding ecosystem to get involved, right? So, Scott's Miracle-Gro, right? It's like Home Depot. It's just, a more gardening specific. They're just selling, gardening materials, and they happen to be, the gardening materials that cannabis people will use. It's kind of like, and I don't want to, like, this is a bad analogy, or this is more of a negative analogy, but it's like the most profitable people in a war aren't the countries fighting each other. It's the guys selling guns to both sides, because they win either way on that front. Hopefully that helps a little bit, Brenda.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Thank you so much.
Good, awesome. I'm going to pull something up for you, Brenda. I want you to see. There is, and then I'm making this available. I'll make it available for everyone. I'll send you to a website, to our InfoMM site, where you'll be able to pull all these links down. But I pulled up a new cannabis venture. It's the best broker for cannabis stocks, may surprise you. And the thing about cannabis stocks is basically you have to find a broker. So however you're doing stocks right now, you have to find a broker like E-Trade, Fidelity, Interactive Brokers, Scottrade. So you find an online brokerage firm that can start helping you so that you can be able to actually trade. And understanding from a perspective, just the basics of trading, that's the first aspect. And then from there, you do your research on the companies that touch plant, but also doing your research on the companies that they're called ancillary businesses. So if you look up the word ancillary cannabis businesses, you're going to see Scott, you're going to see Kush Bottles, you're going to see, Mass Roots, Leafly. These are all businesses that are like the plug line to cannabis, but they don't touch the plant. And therefore it may, in your opinion, or after you do your research, it may seem like a safer and more strategic way of how to start investing into the industry without touching working with companies who actually cultivate right now.
Great. So I did mute Brenda because we want to move on to the next person. So thank you very much, Brenda. We have Bridget Peck is coming on soon, so we're going to let Bridget talk. And yeah, Brenda, so hopefully this was helpful. Feel free to continue tuning in, and there's great information. I would recommend, especially if you want a great primer, Dr. Boyce and Deshita go through like an hour of investment strategy. They actually are going to talk about 3 companies and go in depth. So they're going to talk about, you know, a banking solution, money solution on the cannabis side, which is a big issue. They're going to talk about a cannabis REIT that they like, and you know, they'll go more in depth on Kush and everything on that side. And it's good information to get because you'll understand how they think about things, and that would probably be useful for you as you gain the education, so you can think about making, you know, the proper investments for your future. So thanks a lot, Bridget. Let's unmute Brenda.
Nope, other way around.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, we mute Brenda, unmute Bridget.
Hi, Bridget.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Where are you based out of?
I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hey, Atlanta, the ATL. So it's so nice for you to take some time out and to jump on to this afternoon. Tell me, what's on your mind? What things were you thinking about, or a question that you had regarding the industry?
Okay, I'm originally from Ohio.
Okay.
And I was looking into like more of the real estate landlord.
Okay.
I don't really know exactly how I could get into that, but my thing is that my family owns a lot of land in Ohio.
Okay.
And Ohio is known for like farming, you know, they have a lot of farms and stuff like that in Ohio.
Yes, ma'am.
And so my family has all this huge land. And so I was just thinking that all this land that we have, maybe a company could actually grow it on the land, and we own the land. So
Yep.
How can I kind of tap into that?
Yay, I love it. That's a great question. So let me tell you what my recommendation is, and it fits right into a business that I've established for myself and actually to support individuals like yourself. I think, and if you guys don't know about this, hemp farming is going to be something that's going to happen throughout the country. Hemp is the kissing cousin plant to cannabis. It's used over 25,000 different uses from an industrial standpoint, and it can also be used for medical type of supplements. Hemp is basically like cannabis, but it doesn't have the THC, the part of the plant that gives you that high feeling. You won't get that with a hemp plant and with a hemp product. Okay. So the thing about hemp is it's grown. It's a plant that's so awesome because it's antibacterial, antimicrobial. It absorbs any type of soil or contaminants that are in a soil, like, you know, lead or you know, anything that's in the soil. It'll absorb that soil, and it basically helps to clean the soil. You know, cows use it as feeder. So when you talk about, when people are saying, hey, I grow or I farm organic cows, well, they feed them something like hemp, because hemp helps remove any bacteria that may be inside of the intestinal wall. So it's a great plant. So long story short, there's a bill that went through the House earlier this summer, and it was the Farm Bill. And the Farm Bill basically, went through the Senate, and it basically passed, basically allowing for federal cultivation of hemp. So we're waiting to see if it's going to go through the House. And I know there's a lot of things that are happening on the House side right now. But if it goes to the House on the federal side, what that will do is each state will be able to give out licenses to individuals like yourself that say, hey, I have land and I want to farm hemp. Now, let's say, for example, Bridget, that you say, I want to farm hemp, but I don't have the material, I don't have the workers, I just got the land and I just want to lease that land out.
Right.
I got you. That's where with Minorities for Medical Marijuana, and honestly, I specifically created a urban farmers collective. It's called McCarthy Hemp Co. And I did it because I meet a lot of people like yourself that say, listen, Roz, I don't have time to do all this stuff, but I want to be able to participate. So basically, you lease the land out to the entity, McCarthy Hemp Co. We pay you a lease payment quarterly for your land, as well as anything that we cultivate on there. Once we cultivate it, we also do a revenue share. And my whole goal of starting my company that way was because I wanted to do something like the Native Americans. Native Americans, when they do business, they do business. If you're not a part of the Native American tribe, you know, it's sometimes hard to do business with them, and they share in regard to the revenue. And I want to create a model of a business where if we all come together, even if you're not farming it, you're going to get a lease payment plus any revenue that comes in off of your land. I'm willing to split a percentage of that and share it with you. So that's what I would recommend if you, and I'm sure there's other models like that, but that was my model that I started. And we're now starting to get names and phone numbers of people that want to do that. And if you want to email me later with your information, and we can get you on our, get you a part of our database of people that want to farm like that, we'll do that.
Okay, that sounds great, because that's something that, because my family, we own all that land. We had a club. My grandfather bought that land and put a building on there.
Okay.
So we were the first Black family to have the land, have the club, own the club, have the license, of the liquor license, and everything.
Wow.
It's the issue that a family member now, she's back on her taxes. And I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that land. I mean, the building I could care less about, because the building is kind of going down, but it's the land that's the most important thing. And when I saw this, it was like a light bulb hit, like, wait a minute, we can use all that land, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
We can use all that land for something like this.
And you want to take account of how much land you have, so that, one, you want to be able to understand, assessment of your land, the value of your land right now, so that when you are negotiating your lease payment, so you know exactly kind of where you want to be. And so take a look at that land from a perspective of understanding how many acres do you have. You want to think of things like, is there a water source on the land? Is there irrigation? Is there, do you have an electric, is it on an electrical grid? Because if you ever have to pull electricity, hopefully it's on a grid where you can easily pull electricity. But you can even have folks that are in the cannabis industry, if they are looking for land and want to be able to cultivate they want to do it out, outside of the belt of the major metropolitan areas. All you have to do nowadays is, if you have access to water and electrical grid, you put a concrete slab down, you build your greenhouse on top of the slab, you create security around your cultivation site, you make sure that you have enough of square footage for your processing, for your drying. So there's so many different ways that you can maybe figure out how to make this land attractive to people that want to cultivate. And I think that where your mind is going right now, do it. Just first thing first is make sure your taxes are paid up. And I have an attorney referral. If you ever need an attorney who deals with farming land and dealing with trust or anything of that nature, we have one of our members. She's awesome. She's out of Carolina, but that's her specialty, of dealing with farmers and people that own land, to make sure that land stays in your name, that you don't lose it, that if you have someone that's elderly, that they don't, like, if they go into a nursing home, they'll ask them for all their assets. And we're seeing where our Black farmers who are older, when they turn over the asset about the land, people are using the land to pay for their nursing home care, and then they lose all their land.
Right. And I don't want, my grandfather did not build that for that.
Right.
He wanted to, I mean, he's not alive anymore, but he had all of that for us.
Right.
And because she's like, back on her taxes, I just don't want it to go to someone else. And
right. So email me. It's ROZ, ROZ at m4mmunited.org. And that's ROZ at m4mmunited.org. And we'll talk more about it offline, and we'll make sure that if I can't, you don't have to partner with me. I will make sure, regardless, that we point you in the right direction. And I love your attitude. I love the fact that you want to be proactive. Anyone that's listening right now, if you have family that has land, or you have land, or the grandfather, grandma, you know how we do it, our uncle, our aunts, get that land in order. Make sure your taxes are paid up on it. Make sure you understand how much land you have, and get ready for this hemp farming. Because just like tobacco farming and how that happened, where you had a lot of these big time tobacco farmers come in, they took over the industry, it'll happen again if we don't stay ahead of the curve. So thank you, Brittany, for your call and for your information. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing from you.
I appreciate the information you get, because it was kind of bothering me, and we don't want to lose that land. So I'm kind of glad it's like a blessing in disguise that I was able to speak to you today.
Absolutely. Email me and we'll talk offline, okay?
All right, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And one thing, Bridget, don't be a stranger. So if you do some research and have more questions, definitely, come back on in a week or two and ask some questions, and Roz will definitely be willing to keep helping you out. Now, one thing I just want to mention in terms of curriculum and everything, I don't know if you were aware of this, but a couple of years ago, Dr. Boyce had the All Black National Convention in Atlanta. And Killer Mike, who is a rap musician, or I'm not sure how you want to classify him, he actually made a great comment about the fact that many in the African American community, like we can't grow our own food, we can't actually farm, like those are things. So one of the initiatives as we come up with our next programs, right now we have a program on how to invest, but we're working on programs on how to become a cannabis entrepreneur. And the concept of understanding the USDA, which is the United States Department of Agriculture, there's farm loan programs, there's grant programs, there's those things, because growing specifically on the hemp side, it's going to be massive. And specifically when it comes to extracts and all these other corollaries, you hear Rod talking about it, you might have seen some of the emails that get sent out, or you hear us talk about it. Hemp is, hemp is amazing. It's just going to be huge.
It's amazing. Hemp is such an amazing plant, and you guys, and the care that you have to take care of a cannabis plant versus a hemp plant is so different, because a hemp plant, you can literally, you can quarter off your land, throw the hemp seeds down there, and just watch it flourish and bloom. You don't need the pesticides and the fertilizer that you need for cannabis, and you don't have to watch this closely. So we'll talk more about it. I'm so glad, and I'm making notes. So see, guys, I got my notepad. I'm making notes. I'm taking down information, and we'll make sure we continue to address this and bring up more information.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to propose. I really appreciate, Roz, you handing out your email to people, but I think since a lot of times I think you might get a lot of the same questions, I would propose that we post these questions in the Black Cannabis Network Facebook group, because, we can have, obviously there might be some personal things where you don't want to reveal it, but a lot of these questions, the question, because I'm just looking at the chat, we've got 2 other people asking the exact same question that Bridget asked, and that's great, that this is on people's minds, but let's try to be more efficient, right? So. Right. If we can get it. So if you're not a member of the Black Cannabis Network, the Facebook group, go join it. It's great to join. It's free. There's no charges or anything. It's just a Facebook group. We're at about almost 3,000 members, and I'd love to have 50,000 members of the group, spreading this knowledge and, creating opportunity for everybody. So with that, thank you again, Bridget, for your question. We have Phyllis Smalls is up next.
Hey, Phyllis, how are you?
I'm well. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you very well. Where are you located?
I'm located in Schenectady, New York.
Schenectady, I've heard of it, never been there. You're up in the northern area? Like, is that close to, I have family that was from
Albany.
Albany, okay.
Close to Albany, the capital of New York. Yep.
Okay, awesome. So tell me a little bit, getting on the call today, what were your thoughts or questions that you want to ask?
Well, I am about to come into some money.
Okay.
My baby's leaving to go to the Navy. I've raised 2 children. My son is 33 and my daughter's 18, going to the Navy next month.
Okay.
So I'm going to be free, and I want to take, it's not going to be like a huge amount of money, but I want to take a portion of it. I want to invest it. I want to learn how to make it grow into something, so that when I'm dead, my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren and my great-great-grandchildren could have something.
Yes.
And the cannabis industry is someplace that I've been thinking about. So I'm not sure like how much I would need or where I should go. I actually have a business. It's called Shay's Eats and Treat that I LLC 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I cook and I serve food. I was thinking about edibles and things like that.
That's cool. That's a very cool area to be in. Let me ask you a question, and this is for everybody. Are you currently investing right now? Do you have an investor account or anything of that nature right now?
Nope, but I'm definitely been studying over the last 6 months, 7 months, just trying to get familiar with it.
Yes.
So that I can get in it.
And that's what I would recommend. The cannabis industry is the hottest industry right now, but it's not a panacea. And you definitely want to make sure that you do your research, that if you have a financial planner or a financial advisor, you work with them to understand about investing, how to invest, how much to start out with. Because I will have to, the full disclaimer is that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a stock, though there are people that specialize in that area. And you'll be surprised, they're right in your backyard, they're at your churches or what have you. You can say, hey, listen, I have some money. There's different ways of investing that's not just about stocks in particular, but that can do what you want to be done for your family and that leave behind and being able to create a legacy and resources for, for your child, your grandkids, great grandkids. Cool thing about the cannabis industry is it is brand new. And people want to get in at entry level. Charles last week made a great model. He showed where, with Apple, how, when it like 8-9 years ago, it was at its bottom low in regards to the price point. And now, now it's almost quadruple in regards to the stock share. So if you would have got in 9 years ago, you could have, at $1,000, you would have over $145,000 in the bank or worth of stocks right now. So it is a long game versus a short game. And the investment is two different ways. You invest in stocks or you invest in other businesses who have cannabis focus or centric businesses that you want to be a part of. And that's where you have to, that's why the recommendation of hearing Deshita and Dr. Boyce as they walk you through that. Also, again, I want to share this with you guys. Just do your own personal research, okay? Look at, for example, I found this. I did my research, getting ready for you guys, the 4 top marijuana penny stocks for the rest of 2008 and 18. And what it does, these are recommendations and these are people and their thoughts or what have you. But what it did for me was it made me really think about it and really process exactly how they're making these recommendations and kind of get my head in the game. And I always tell people that if you don't know something, don't take it on my word. Don't take it on no one else's word. Get in there yourself and do your research and start kind of studying and absorbing the information for yourself and making those decisions that you think how you may want to go. And of course, being able to tap into an expert that may have some more feedback for you. I did, if you guys, so if you guys go down, and this is, again, being the CEO, founder of InfraMM, the things that we want to do was be able to create something and create resources for you guys. And so one of the resources I created was a PDF. All you got to do is just download it, CannaTalk with ROZ, investing in cannabis stocks. So all those links that I'm showing you right now, it's right there at that website, and I'll keep showing it throughout our time today, but you can just download that. The links are already there. All you gotta do is just click on the links and they'll open up for you once you download the PDF, okay?
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're more than welcome, love, and just stay connected. Every now and then, jump on the different educational platforms that are offered. Jump on this call and stay connected to what's going on. And I applaud you for preparing the future for your grandkids. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome, love.
Right. And just to add, I stepped away, so I missed most of your response. But Phyllis, there is a web class given by Dr. Boyce and Deshita that will discuss that, and it's scheduled for tonight. So. Okay. I'll post that link in the chat, but it's pretty straightforward. It's just greenrush.theblackbusinessschool.com. So I'll post it in the chat, and it's a free web class that they're going to talk more about the investing and everything, because the key thing, and while I don't want to underemphasize the importance of one particular stock or one particular opportunity. Successful investing, like the number one question we always get is, what stock do I buy? Give me that one tip. And successful investing is so much more than just finding that one magic bullet. Because the reality is, the best investors know, like the reason why we all diversify, the reason why we do all this stuff is if we actually knew the future, if we had the crystal ball, we would just put all our money on that one penny stock that's going to become that's what we would do. The reality is we don't know. And what makes a good investor is recognizing that you don't know what you don't know. So you put the strategies and the plans and everything in place so that, as you invest, some of them are going to go up, some of them might go down. and you have the systems and processes and strategies in place to be successful and, you know, ride the trend on that front. So it's like Roz says, education is key. And yeah, keep getting educated. Join us on the web class. Should be good. And make sure if you're in the Black Cannabis Network, there's some great conversations that go on. Also, if you're on our email list, which you get on when you join the Black Cannabis Network class, we occasionally just give recommendations. Even, you know, like there's a paid portion where, you know, we talk about things in depth. But I'd say once a month on our email list, we give out like open just recognition. Hey, here's an interesting cannabis stock to go check out or whatnot. Now, those are more kind of the mainstream ones. So, you know, the best opportunities we keep for, you know, the students in the class. But, you know, it's still just, if you're new and you're just trying to learn things like that, you know, it'll give you some ideas. So definitely, you know, subscribe. When you join the webinar, you can subscribe to our newsletter. And, you know, there's great things. Like, I think this week, you know, Deshita wrote a great essay. We had to break it up into 3 different emails about how to start a CBD company. That was great. You know, there's great content that's there if you check it out and read it. So thank you very much.
So we have a great lineup of people here. So I have a Herbert Jacobs. You want to jump on, Herbert, and tell us where you are, and do you have a question you want to share with us?
I don't see a Herbert.
Okay.
Are you saying on the phone, on the call-in list? I can't see.
Okay. Oh yeah, you got your call-in list. Yeah. Well, then maybe you can Charles, who do you see there that we can maybe that may want to ask a question?
Pick the next one. I see Akila Gator. I don't know if I pronounced her name right, but Akila, you are on. Hold on, I'm gonna unmute her.
Hi, Akila.
Hold on, let me try to wait. There we go.
Hi, Akila. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Great, thanks.
I'm good, darling. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Atlanta, but I currently live in South Florida.
You live in South Florida? What parts of Florida?
Fort Lauderdale.
All right, Lauderdale in the house.
Oh, you were just in Florida, weren't you, Roz? Was it last week? Or
well, I'm based here in Orlando. We did an event in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale with the Broward County African American Chamber a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago. It was a networking event at the NYSW Jazz Lounge, right off of like 16 Southwest Avenue, something like that. It was a very it was black owned venue. Awesome people over there. If you're in South Florida, NYSW Jazz Lounge, just a shout out to them. Awesome people. But tell me, like you jumped on the call today. What were some of your thoughts, or what was your question for today?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of questions, but
okay.
I'll try to keep it really, I guess, generic and simple. I guess the biggest thing is, what is the not easiest way, because nothing is easy.
Right, exactly.
Way of least resistance, you know, to the industry. And I know it's so many different avenues, you know, that you can take within the industry.
Yes.
So I guess which avenue is probably the most profitable, and then what's the path of least resistance in that, you know, in that way?
What can you tell me, if you had to look at, is there an area of expertise that you're in right now? Are you that you do for a living? What do you do for a living, or what are you passionate about? What drives you as an individual? If you had to work and do this, you wouldn't mind doing this for the rest of your life because this is what you love and that's your passion.
Okay, so right now my background is real estate, but for me, my passion is being able to provide opportunities for my people.
Okay.
So if it's like owning different businesses, or, you know, something where I can employ, you know, young Black women who may not be as educated, you know, to kind of knock down some of those barriers that face, and especially in a new trending industry like this, I can kind of, you know, see it happening down the line.
Sure, sure. So let me tell you what I would like. So if you, sometimes I get with our members that come on board or whatever, or folks that I work with, they'll say, hey, Roz, I want to get in the industry. What do you think? And I ask this question, what's your passion? What do you love doing? What drives you? And you like providing education. You like making a difference. You like giving people a new like aspect or a new way of looking at something or explaining or getting them connected to an industry or to how to grow their business or what have you. So what I would tell you for the cannabis industry, one of the biggest areas is that you have these companies that are coming on board, and these are license holders, and they basically have a license to cultivate, to manufacture, to process, and to dispense medical marijuana, or adult use cannabis, however you want to put it. Their expertise is how to grow and how to process and how to dispense. But they have to interact with community. They have to interact with consumers. So what some people have done, an opportunity that you can take from your passion is, how do you create a business that goes out and educates the public, or maybe your community, about the efficacy of medical marijuana, the medical conditions that are associated, how do you pay for it? And you have to, so imagine if you could do this and this was your business, like you create a name for your business, and you went, and then after that point, you went out there to the different senior centers, you talked to the chambers of commerce, and basically after that point, you have to figure out how to monetize your business. How do I make money off of, now that I got a business, now that I know what I want to do, I want to educate or whatever, how do I make money? And that comes where the hard work comes in. You create a brand for yourself. You brand yourself out there as a consumer educator, and you'll be surprised. There are businesses, there are medical marijuana certified physicians, there are license holders who want to do business with you because you are going to put your hand and touch the community. The people they want are the people that you're touching. And so you might create a brochure that explains it all when you do all of your, let's say if you go out there and you're doing education and you create a brochure as your leave behind, well, then you can go to the license holders and say, hey, I have 4 sections where if you want to advertise, I'll give you advertising space. You can advertise here. You just made $4,000 to $5,000 just by leasing out a section on your brochure. You get it printed, the whole 9 yards. But what I'm saying to you is you just have to tap into what you're passionate about. Don't try to get into the industry and try to figure out where the money is. Your money lies within what your skill set is and where your passion is, and just transfer that skill over to cannabis. And that's exactly what I did. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about business development. And so instead of starting with a consulting firm, I said, you know what? I want to make sure that we know what's going on. I started a nonprofit. And then when I started a nonprofit, now I was able to switch back and go into the for-profit side. That normally you don't do it that way. Normally you start a for-profit first and then maybe latch off into a nonprofit. But I tapped into what I felt that I was passionate about. Akila, let me tell you something. It's hard work. There's been moments where I felt like I wanted to give up. I ended up quitting my job. I stopped consulting. I just started doing this full time. I came out of the cannabis closet and I just said, listen, if this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it 100%. Now, I don't recommend this for everyone, but once you get to that point where you really start seeing you're making traction and you say, I really, really want to do this, you have to commit so much time, but I promise you, you're still in the early ages of this industry and it will pay off for you.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Loving. And continue to stay connected with us. Sometimes you just need an encouraging word just to say, hey, like, what should I do? And there's also, I think next week we're going to be in CBC, but next week or the week after, I really want to go into some of the different ancillary businesses that you guys can start thinking about. So we'll have a CannaTalk that really talks about all the ancillary services and how people got them started and how much they're able to monetize what they do for it, what they're passionate about, and how to monetize it, and then go from there. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome, Akila. Thank you, love.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
You too. Charles, who we got next?
Let me take a quick look. I actually was stupid when you were saying earlier. I didn't realize we could scroll down. So now I see Herbert Jacobs. I feel bad for saying he wasn't there. So let's make Herbert Jacobs our next person.
I was picking people random, so you have to love Charles. Now, let me tell you guys. Let me tell you what the setup is. I'm in Florida. Charles is in Chicago. You guys are all over the country. That's the beautiful part about technology. He helps to moderate things while I'm talking to you guys live. Some people can see us live. Some people can hear us, and so we're just making it happen. So I'm so grateful for you, Charles, and you're doing an awesome job. So thank you, brother.
Great. Well,
so Herbert.
Hello.
Hey, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well, great. Where are you located, Herbert?
I'm presently located in Columbia, South Carolina.
Columbia. I love Columbia. That's a nice little shot through as I'm going towards Charlotte when I drive. I forgot what interstate it is, but I have a chapter president in Rock Hill. So as soon as I hit Columbia, I'm almost to Rock Hill and then on to Charlotte.
Okay.
Yep. Tell me, what's your question? What's your thoughts today, and what were you looking to get answers on?
Well, actually, I think it was the first person that came on who posed the question that I had, or the concern that I had, and that was related to the various companies that would be available as potential companies to invest in.
Yes, sir.
Getting back to the picks and shovels.
Yes, sir.
Avenue for entry into the business. So really, with your responses to that initial question, you pretty much covered the concern that I had.
Okay. And can you see my screen, Herbert?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So if you pull up that website at the top and those links I was talking about earlier.
Yes.
If you download that PDF, it will have all those links right there. And I did a little bit of research for you. Now, that's not going to be all your research, but that's going to be a little bit of good research to get you started. And then it'll help you as you navigate through this stuff yourself, okay?
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks for joining us today.
And Herbert, this is Charles, maybe just with a quick question. Are you enrolled in the cannabis investing class, or you are?
Yes,
okay.
I am.
So yeah, we talk about some of those, and once 101 is done, we actually have 102. Now that's a decision on your end, but we have kind of a beta group on 102 right now. And there are some great companies, when you look at these picks and shovels, the pick that was released last month in August, we talked about extraction, and it's actually a really cool company where they were the leaders in fish oil extraction. And now they are getting into cannabis oil extraction. And if you look at the market, if you think about if I was to invest, where is the future, right? If you think of mainstream adoption, there's people who want to smoke, but we don't all want to smoke. Most people, we like topicals, we like gummies, that's what the mainstream is really going to want for CBD consumption. And if you think of what's the critical point, extraction is one of the big things that's going to come around for that. So I don't know, hopefully this gives you some more ideas, but the picks and shovels, there are just so many of these, you find the one key or the one thing that everyone needs to get to that next point. And it's just wow, this is really exciting and amazing on that front. So
okay, thank you.
Yeah, hopefully that helps. Let's do Ricardo O'Brien next.
Hi, Ricardo. How are you?
Hold on for a second. Okay. He muted. We're waiting for him to unmute.
Ricardo, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Yes, I can hear you. Could you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you located, sir?
Virginia.
Virginia. Oh, man. What part of Virginia?
I'm in Ashburn, Virginia.
Okay. What's that close to? I'm not familiar with that city.
That's close to Dulles Airport.
Okay.
Or Redskins practice stadium.
Okay, great. All right, well, I'll be close to you. I'm flying into Nashville. Dulles is a little ways out, but I'll be not too far from you next week.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. What was your question? What was your thoughts for today?
My question is, I just chimed in, so I was trying to figure out the URLs you all were talking about.
Okay.
And there's a lot of land in Virginia, so I was trying to see if I could get assistance where finding and purchasing land to get into the industry.
Right. Now, do you own land right now, or are you looking to purchase land?
I'm looking to purchase land.
Okay. So if you're looking to purchase land, definitely you may want to get with a commercial realtor. Do you have a real estate background?
No, I don't. I'm learning real estate now, though.
Okay. So again, let me tell you something. The one thing about Roz will stay in her lane. The things that she knows. But I'm also, when I need something, I go make a phone call. And I tell people, anyone that's listening, if you're on today, and if you're a realtor on residential, or if you're thinking about going commercial and doing commercial for the cannabis industry, it is a very lucrative area to get into, or it's a smart area and it's a growing area. It's one of those picks and shovel companies if you want to get into a cannabis focused company that's not touching plant. There is a business called CannaHub, and CannaHub is based out of California. And what they do is they actually buy real estate, and not only land, but they buy real estate and they flip it so that people who want to go in and want to start doing cultivation or extractions or looking for dispensaries, instead of them trying to find the location themselves, they come in, go to CannaHub, put together, they basically, connect with them, employ their services, and they do a little revenue sharing, or they'll pay a fee for the location. And so it was just someone who was a commercial realtor who got really smart really quickly and was like, people need real estate. And so same thing for those who are interested in real estate. I would say for yourself, if you want to be a landowner, get you a commercial realtor, because you want to make sure that the price point for the land makes sense, especially for what you want to do, and especially for you want to understand how much revenue will that land, what's your return on investment? If I pay this amount of money, which business am I going to cultivate from a cannabis standpoint? Am I going to look at hemp farming? What am I going to do with this land, and what's going to be my return on this investment? And is this a smart investment for me? And then go from there. Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the URL links that you guys were talking about, because I can't see, I'm using a cell phone.
No. If to get the link that talks about the stocks, it was www. M as in Mary, the number 4, M as in Mary, united.org, and then just scroll down and you'll see CannaTalk with Roz. Just to let you guys know, I am so honored and so respectful and for Dr. Boyce and the Black Cannabis Network to partner with Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Minorities for Medical Marijuana I started the organization. I'm the founder and the CEO. We are a nonprofit 501c3 company focused on advocacy, outreach, and education. So if you hear us talking about this, or if you hear me saying the website, that's just where I put the content of the things I put together for you. But we're doing this in partnership together. They're supporting us 100% in this information sharing, in us partnering together, because we are not on an island. We have to work together for the good of our community. We cannot work in silos. We can't be like pitting one against the other. We have to figure out how to work together and communicate and connect so that we can win in this industry. So just a shout out to Dr. Boyce and to Charles and the team and Dashita and everyone over there that supports M4MM and the things that we're doing. But if you go to that website, you'll see the PDF. All you gotta do is just download it, and the links are right there where you can just click on it, okay?
Is it possible for you to type that link into the chat?
Yeah, we sure can. I sure can.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll type another link. I don't know, have you attended the online web class that Boyce and Dr. Boyce and Dashita give?
No, I haven't had the opportunity to do that just yet.
Okay, well, make sure you go, because if you're in real estate, one of the investments opportunities they talk about is a cannabis REIT. And they're going to dive into that and kind of break it down and talk about all that. But if you're investing and you're looking at it, it may make sense just to, buy a share of that REIT or whatnot, not just to buy the share, but for the knowledge. Because once you own a share of the REIT, they will have to, they give you their prospectus, they give you how they work, they give you their dividend yields. Like, that's just what it is when you own a stock of a company, right? You get the shareholder reports, you get everything. And that would give you an inside look of, how these things get structured and all that.
That's nice.
Just a thought. So yeah, if you can make it, there's one scheduled for tonight. Just go to that link and, sign up for that if, you're able to make it, or there's other ones that would be scheduled too.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ricardo. Thanks for jumping on today. I appreciate you, ma'am.
Great. So I've muted him. We have time for one more. So we have Kiana Sims. who has raised her hand. So Kiana, you're going to be last, hopefully not the least. Roz, I'll let you.
Hi, Kiani. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Speak up a little bit, sweetie.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on, let me turn my volume up a little bit. Make sure I got you high. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Talk up a little bit or in the microphone. Where are you located, darling?
I'm located in Orlando, Florida.
Okay, you're in Orlando with me. Exactly. Awesome. Welcome. What was your question or your comment for today?
Yeah, so I just found out about you guys, and it's pretty cool that you're in Orlando. I'm actually new to the community. I'm 24 years old. I was looking into, I know it's not legalized here, but I did want to eventually start a recreational dispensary here in Florida.
Yes.
What would you suggest for getting prepared for that?
All right, so let me, where are you from before Florida? Where were you living, or where's, you're being 24, you're new to Orlando or new to Florida?
I'm new to Florida. I've been here like 10 years, but I was in Tallahassee. Most of my life I was in Philadelphia. Okay, all right. So you're Floridian, so you get it covered. So with Florida right now, Florida has a medical marijuana program, and that program is it has a vertical business model, which means if you get a license to do business in the legal medical marijuana program in Florida, your license is you're allowed to cultivate, manufacture, process, dispense, and deliver. And the cost to get that, to even apply for that license, is $60,000. Okay. And and the value of that license, if you get a license right now, companies like MedMen have just come into the state. They bought a license here that someone owned, and I think they paid maybe close to $45-50 million for it. Wow. Another company, Liberty Health Science, they came in the last part of last year. I think they may have paid $42 to $45,000 for $45 million for the license. Okay. So with that being said, in order to make sure that that type of pattern of those are called barriers to entry. Those are significant barriers where people like you and I cannot enter a market because, one, we can't afford the $60,000, which is extraordinary, is too high. There's places where it's only $2,500 to apply for a license. Wow. And also the cost to actually compete for a license is anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 just to get your application together. And those are barriers, and those barriers were put there kind of on purpose because they don't have to be that high. And that's why organizations like M4MM, we go and we lobby in Tallahassee. We go in front of our legislators. That's why I'm going to DC for the Congressional Black Caucus, because I'm holding people accountable. I'm saying, listen, you can't support and you can't be a legislator and sit and talk about passing legislation when you know that there's a huge amount of people that are blocked out because you have so many barriers. Okay. How to prepare in Florida, and my recommendation, I'm on an advisory council for a group called Regulate Florida. Regulate Florida, just Google it, Regulate Florida. It is a petition to have a regulated adult use program in Florida. So that's one, that's your civic, like sign that petition. That takes you 5 minutes, you're done. Okay. But with that being said, what we'll do is we're hoping in the next, it depends on the governor. What the biggest thing you can do is you and your friends can go vote and make sure you vote for candidates who are very pro-cannabis and who are pro about releasing some of these barriers. Okay. Once you vote for the right executive branch person, your governor, your legislators, you'll see that we're going to see a change in Florida in regards to this whole medical marijuana program now and how it's going to change. And I anticipate in 2020, there's going to be an amendment on the ballot for adult use. Now, in order for adult use to pass for this state, you have to have a constitutional amendment, and it has to have a 65% or more yes vote. The medical marijuana program got a 71% in 2016. So we'll see what happens in Florida if this happens in 2020. Right now, to try to go and find real estate, because we don't know what's going to happen. You're so far away. But stay connected with groups like Black Cannabis Network, stay connected with Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Come to these, we have chapter presidents throughout the whole entire country for those people who are not in Florida. We have meetups. Just stay connected with people who are in the industry from a educational standpoint, but just
different webinars, and just, when we have these networking events, because one thing it'll do is it'll keep that fire burning in you, and you'll still be able to know what's going on and be ahead of the game as we see what's going to happen with adult use in the next 2 to 3 years. But you are a ways away in Florida, unfortunately, just due to the fact that the folks that were in power before made it extremely difficult to get into the industry, to say the least.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I think it is 2:01 p.m. and I know that we covered some great points. The things that I have down that I want to follow up on are the ethics of stock and investing in cannabis. I have the landholders and real estate with Bridget Peck. Thank you, Bridget, for your great question, talking about, about maybe hemp farming and being able to lease out your land. So Bridget, email me and we'll have a sidebar conversation. Hemp planting, what does that mean? And I think we should have a separate CannaTalk about hemp and the hemp farming industry and what does that mean? And last but not least, ancillary businesses in the cannabis industry. What's those special businesses that you can get into that will allow you to participate? So listen out for those type of, those are some subject matters we'll cover in the next coming week or two. Next week, I'm in DC. So Charles has committed that we're going to figure out how to go live in DC during the Congressional Black Caucus. So make sure you join me next week. And, I want to give a shout out always. My big supporter and National Director of Public Policy, Cass Odom, is on the call. Thank you, Cass, for your support and your love. It's one big family here. Shout out to Deshita, who is our strategy officer with M4MM. And thank you, Charles, for having us today. And you guys come back next week. Come back with your questions. Email, Facebook us, whatever you need to do to stay in contact, please do it.
So hey, Roz, before you go, I want to throw an idea out there. I just saw the link you posted about Hope Wiseman.
Yep.
We should get her on.
I'm working on it. So Hope is my she's my chapter president for Maryland. She's right in the middle of just launching her, she's just launched her, not launched, but she just opened up the dispensary. So she's a little bit, in regards to time frame, just a little tight, and I'm just waiting, like in the next, I would say October time frame, I definitely want to have her on so that you guys can ask her from a real world perspective. How did you get into the industry? How did you get started? And how are things going? And so we'll definitely have her on, because I'm so proud of Hope. And if you're out there, shout out. I appreciate you taking on the responsibility of chapter president for M4MM. But what you're doing, sister, in regards to the industry, in regards to being a trailblazer, kudos and congratulations.
Great. Well, for everyone who's still tuning in and on, thank you for participating and asking your questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time, and I know everyone has questions. So I guess come back next week. We'll do our best to keep answering them. Thank you, Roz, for your time.
No, thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. Let's talk, and let's see about doing a live stream.
I'll see you guys in DC next week. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
All righty.
Bye.